Have you ever noticed that when you're grieving, you could be sitting at your desk and holding your breath? You're reading emails and you're solving problems. You're trying not to cry, and your body is completely shut off. Today, we're going to talk about mind body connection and how your body might be the fastest way to quiet your mind. I'm Lisa Kelly. I work at Spacious Corner Coaching. I'm a grief coach. I specialize in people who are grieving in the workplace, who are struggling to get through their daily lives. Today, I'm joined by Victoria Herczek. Victoria, welcome.
Hi, such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Lisa.
You're welcome. Victoria helps high achieving women feel safe, calm, and at peace in their bodies. Simply put, she helps you release tension and live pain free. Victoria is a former dancer turned body mind well being coach, and she's the founder of Body Mind Method, born from healing from her own spinal surgery after the doctors told Victoria that she might never walk again without surgery. Victoria has lived nomadically for years, soaking in movement practices from around the world, from Russian ballet foundations through Argentinian tango to deep somatic work in nature. Victoria, you don't just start in the head, you actually start in the body, correct?
Yes, exactly. That's why also the order in my coaching title is not accidental, it's not coincidental, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be, body, mind. So we are getting through the body into the mind.
Which is very guilty of mental chatter, isn't it?
Yes,
We're going
exactly.
to talk a little bit about mental chatter and how that the mind is constantly problem solving. And when you've gone through a loss, you know that you are constantly problem solving. You're trying to close the loop. You ask, why did it happen? What could I have done differently? And constantly wondering about the situation. And your mind is actually an overload. You cannot stop the chatter with chatter, right, Victoria?
Yes, that's what I'm always saying. You cannot solve the mind problem from the mind because you would only add another layer. So then there was another layer of like feeling guilty, of feeling shame of experiencing what you are already experiencing. We limit ourselves, our capacity to experience the world, our capacity to actually even solve the problems. I even want to say like 10% of our capacities. So we're just basically cut off. So this is the best example also to really imagine and to really understand the heaviness of that and the seriousness of that we're cutting off ourselves. And this is literally what it means to live in your head.
Mhm.
Living in the head and then being disconnected from the body. I feel a lot of the times these terms get really blurry and not very practical. So today I want to speak a lot about the practicality of it.
Yes. Connecting your body to your mind is not really redirecting, and it's not really suppressing, and it's not really absorbing or bypassing. We are, in essence, expanding awareness, right, Victoria?
Yes, exactly. That's perfectly said. We want to avoid terms like absorbing or because we don't want to go into any type of suppression because this is exactly the mechanism that leads to storing the unprocessed emotions, which is basically the energy. Emotion, if you take the word, it means energy in motion. Motion, energy in motion.
Exactly.
So that's why it's actually happening only in the body. The emotion per se is a physical experience, it's a physical sensation. It's later that the mind gets the interpretation of it and starts to giving names to it and writes all sorts of different narratives, creates all the stories. So that's why this is the primal example and the reason to connect with the body and what it means to be able to experience as many sensations as possible in the body, and then to learn to not to react to them, because you learn and you know that this is just an information from your body.
Mm.
So it doesn't require reacting. And it doesn't require to create all sorts of narratives in your head, which will turn into the constant chatter.
I think it's interesting that you said that the body works faster than the mind. And
100%.
you have a free gift that I will link in the show notes, Victoria. It's a 3-minute sort of body movement gift for those who are listening. They just have to click the link in the show notes. And I tried it myself, and it really does work. It's only 3 minutes. Do it at your desk. Tell us a little bit about how the body movements are helpful in this situation, about sensation and how it can possibly bring us into the present.
It brings to you into the present instantly, because if you focus on the sensation, this is what is only now. So that's why movement works so well. And the first thing I do with my clients, and also this is the base of the whole work, because this is the whole process of anchoring this connection of body and mind, and understanding that ultimately they are equal and they are part of one system. So either of them are better. They're just part of the same system, and they complement each other beautifully. The reason why we need to focus more on body and movement these days is because it has been forgotten and it has been neglected. So in order to bring it back, it requires some more switch of the focus initially to put more importance. And especially for those, maybe it will need to remain like this, because let's say we are talking to a lot, like mostly corporate people, right? So like the office workers. So you spend most of your life, most of your days sitting, completely forgetting your body. Will help you to be successful at it is to switch the thinking from working out to movement. And this is exactly what my free gift for you will show you very practically. And as Lisa said, it's exactly just 3 minutes that can rejuvenate you right away. The human body is designed to be moving. So any walk, any task that requires you to move, even if you have to just like twist and grab something, right? Like when you have to lift something from the floor, you can use all those small moments to bring the intention into your life to connect with your body, because through movement, and then the more intention, the more awareness you add onto it, then you will be connected with your body.
The key word there is intentional. Be intentional about it. And as we're twisting and grabbing that piece of paper, feel what the paper feels like, and pay attention to sensations, pay attention to temperatures, vibrations. I know that we can be triggered at work when we have gone through a loss, and we sometimes don't want to cry openly, of course, but something grabs us and we just feel this sudden heaviness and sadness, and we can't leave our desk. But I use external regulation, but you use more internal tools, Victoria, like, for example, slowing your breath.
Yes, I work on the principle of empowering you 100% as much as you can, so that everything comes from you, so that you don't need to rely on anything external. The music is great. I also, ultimately, you can do both. But like, for example, let's say if you were in a meeting and you cannot put your headphones into your ears, but you can always slow down your breath. That's why it's also so easy to implement and remember, because breathing is the only action that human beings perform constantly all the time, even when we sleep. And this is just our anchor that we can always use. And if you don't know what to do with your breath, it's not about any fancy techniques. You don't need to know any name for any type of breathing. Just make it slower. You can always do that. Because if you make it slower, you need to make it deeper. So you don't even have to think of making it deeper. You just make it slower. The depth will happen on its own. And then all the benefits, this is how you regulate your nervous system. And you don't even need to know that it's happening.
In a longer inhale and a slower exhale.
100%. It's all about how we communicate to the body safety. So on a physiological level, with this perfect example, the slower exhale will communicate even more safety to the cells of the body, to the system, because that's the problem. So it's like saying, I'm safe. Body doesn't decode this message properly because it's on the subconscious level. But through the action of slowing down the breath, this is the language of the body. This is the language of the subconscious.
In my example, as I began this video, I talked about a person who's holding their breath. How can we build the habit of not holding our breath?
Great question. I think a lot of people can hear themselves into it, because I think also what happens is that when someone hears about new habit, there might be first resistance hitting. So also first thing to do in order to be successful with building a new habit is really first get it to yourself and just make sure that this is something you want to do.
Right.
You don't have to believe it works. That can come even later. You take a few breaths and you can feel the changes instantly. So in this example, it's actually a great way that you can already build evidence for yourself that it works. So if you know that it's working, that it's helping you, anchor yourself in your why. So it's not even your motivation, right? It's just why you're doing it. And you know why you're doing it because it's helping you. There is no other way for you. You tried everything. You need to change something. So you're anchoring yourself in this, okay, this is what is helping me. And once you know that this is what you want to do, then some effective ways of implementing new habits is, for example, adding the habit of breathing into already existing habits. You put the toothpaste on your toothbrush and you breathe in the same time. You can put, and then the second thing, which you connect again, you put some sticky notes, which you could put in your bathroom on the mirror. You could put it in your car, on your computer. Make sure where you spend your most time at. Make it visual, immerse yourself, put notifications on your phone.
Most corporate workers have productivity logs that they have to keep and pass in at the end of the day. So if we just add the word breathe.
And one more thing is set realistic goals. So the first goal is not to go from 0 to 100% and bring yourself to remember about the breathing the whole time suddenly. No, the actual goal is to be decreasing the time between noticing when you were holding your breath.
We respond instantly to our phone notifications, and our phone is almost like a body part to us now. But how do we ignore body signals?
You've never learned that. I've never learned that until I started to learn it consciously and proactively. Before that, you actually took time to, first when you got your phone or any other device, let's stick to the phone, you read the instruction, the manual. I only started, that was my biggest motivation to start this work, because I realized that there is no manual. So it took me 10 years, actually more than that, but like even just these 10 recent years where I was really researching and going through just constant trial and errors. And what I'm sharing with you today is the outcome of these 10 years of going through the things that don't work or just work partially. And what happens with the phone analogy is that on one hand, yeah, we are more attuned to our phones. We would recharge it. Anytime it goes low on battery, you recharge your phone, right? Do you do it with your body? But on the other hand, sometimes you get so overstimulated that you put your phone on silent and you start ignoring the notifications. You know they're there. Then even worse, you put on airplane mode. Just because you're not connected to any Wi-Fi doesn't mean that these notifications are not coming. You just ignore them. So you just lost ability to hear these signals because the sensitivity is not there anymore. I have full compassion to everyone that don't have the relationship to their body. You didn't know But now you know. So now it's the time to start changing it. It's really how you can experience the world. And even just dealing with any challenge and dealing with the heavy emotions just becomes possible because you unblock capacities to be able to go for this.
Mm.
So the thing is not to, because the worst thing you can do is to block the emotion, to block the experiencing of the emotions. They will hit, they will backlash anyway at some point. This is why you get sick. This is why you get the pain in your body. Just spend time with your body as if it was your friend. Like you want to give space for your friend so your friend feels better. So it's the same for your body. The body needs to be heard. It wants to be heard. So first it whispers, but if it's not being heard, then it will turn on volume until it starts shouting. And then probably it might be sometimes even too late, or it just like it brings you to this point where you actually need to act on that.
Right. And that's where I help grieving people too, when they're stuck, when they've buried their pain. And there's a difference between being joyful during grief and also being happy and at the same time burying your pain. You're a dancer, Victoria. You dancers have to connect with both, or else it just doesn't happen.
100%. Whoever thinks, I think, and I went through, yes, I was in a professional dance world. I trained as a professional dancer. I haven't done a harder thing in my life.
Right. It's choreography, and especially when you're doing with other people too.
Oh yeah, it takes even
Dancing
more.
partner. Yes.
This is where I was experiencing in practice, that was the first time for me where I experienced in practice the movement intelligence, the body intelligence. Let's bring these terms, and all it actually represents, let's bring it into the language. The kinesthetic intelligence. It's actually, you can think through movement. So that's, yeah, let's bring the thinking into the movement into the thinking, because you can get yourself into much more creativity, much more freedom of expressing and problem solving. Speaking of problem solving again. So it's one, and it supports each other. And then it's a great way to experience that. It will stimulate all regions of your brain, including also expanding your capacity for remembering, your memory. And also there is an important thing that is happening through movement, which is neuroplasticity. So through movement, and the more creative the movement is, that's why dance is one of the best examples and one of the best ways, one of the best activities that you can do that is very brain friendly. So you literally, when the more creatively you move, you stimulate your brain, and your brain literally creates new neural connections. And this myth has been debunked already in the researches, in the scientific researches, that it's the ability for brain to create new neural connections. It's present throughout your whole life. If you are in the gym, you actually support your brain as well. You're creating new neural connections, which will help you in your mind job if it's your life.
Which is one of the reasons why, Victoria, I encourage my clients to just write down anything with a pen or a pencil and a paper, because of that very reason of neuroplasticity right there. And it's the touching of the pen, it's the watching of the letters form.
Oh, that's one of the best advices. There are countries where children don't study handwriting anymore. They don't learn how to handwrite in cursive. I think journaling is also such an intimate action. And I think doing it with your hand, also knowing that there is science behind how many benefits are, I think it should encourage people to do it more instead of typing, because we are typing enough anyway.
Yes, we are. Incorporating movement, like during your coffee breaks, during your lunch breaks, go for a walk. People in corporate can do that, and it does help. And not only just walk mindlessly, but think about your heels hitting the pavement and think about the wind on your jacket. And when we enjoy doing something, take notice after. How do I feel? How do I feel after doing Victoria's 3-minute free gift that she's giving you in the show notes? How do I feel after that walk? How do I feel after jotting that down on a scrap paper in a journal?
Talk to your body.
Talk to your body. Elaborate.
For example, when you're going on these walks and you said, reflect, be aware of how you're feeling, that's the moment you can change, you can transform it, shift it into a conversation with your body. So you can always ask, hey buddy, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And this is, for example, a lot what I recommend to do, and I do it myself, and I recommend to my clients, especially when you have some tension in the body or pain,
Yeah.
you can talk to this body part. So whenever I feel some pain, I would have some sensation in my knee, let's say. I would be like, hey knee, what's happening?
Because the knee pain is speaking to you. It's flagging that something needs attention. So
Yes, exactly.
speak back to it.
Yeah, this is big. And
Right.
because this is like journaling, right? Like journaling is kind of the way of like talking to yourself.
Mhm.
So going in this process of befriending your body, this is the biggest game changer that you can have, because I'm always talking about the things that this is not even visible, right? You don't even need to, no one knows what is going through your head. So you might be on this walk, or even just you take this one breath at your desk and you have this moment of like, oh, okay, how are you doing, buddy? Yeah.
How did you implement that with your spinal issues that you had?
And this
How did,
is, oh, just by understanding what healed me ultimately is understanding that all the reason of physical pain is emotional. With grief, it's also a lot of shame around grief. People don't want to talk about it, and I 100% understand that. But understanding also the consequences of holding these emotions within ourselves. And I understood that I started to be brutally honest with myself. And just I understood it was my lifestyle that brought me to this injury. It was not listening to the signals of the body, because I was ignoring for years. I could tell myself this was not something that happened overnight. I worked for it until like 23 years of my life. I worked for this injury. I have a tremendous belief, and I want to share this with everyone, that your body, you can always heal. Everything is reversible. So if you apply, if you give your body, mind, if you give the environment of care, compassion, of understanding, listening, the body will have environment to start healing. I was very consistent and very serious about doing the physiotherapy, but it would not work if it was not connected with the emotional work. It was then the understanding of that principle that ultimately led me to release this pain, for the physical body to regenerate, and then to successfully live to these days, 10 years later, completely pain-free.
if you are going through grief, expect some physical consequences if you're not dealing with your grief. As Victoria said, start early during your grieving process to build this new habit of connecting with your body. We talked about we cannot think our way out of emotional overwhelm, Victoria, and the fastest way to quiet the mind is through the body. And if you don't know what to do, slow your breath. How can people work with you?
You can find me on social media, Instagram and YouTube, Victoria Herczek. And if you're called to this work and you need support on this process in connecting with your body, just book a consultation call with me, and I am more than happy to get you to just assess your lifestyle, to just assess your unique situation, because you are a unique being.
Her website will be in the show notes, her information on how to catch her on Instagram, LinkedIn, and her YouTube channel. It was great meeting you, and grieving friends, coworkers. I hope that you can see after listening to our talk today how the body is connected to your grieving process and how very important it is to move during this time, to feel the pain, not only in your mind, but feel the sensations in your body as you intentionally move. And until next time, I'm always here to help you become the boss of your loss.